I started by asking why Benioff decided to share his job and his title with his new co-CEO.
Keith is fabulous. He's been with us for 5 years. He is a great operator. He's done a great job at Salesforce, and I really feel like he needed to be recognized. Now he's co-CEO. The company is more successful than ever, and I couldn't be happier.
Co-CEOs haven't necessarily worked out in other places. It's been harder to be decisive, harder to be ambitious. Some would argue it hasn't helped Oracle much at all. How do you avoid those challenges?
Decisiveness and ambition, well, those are things that I tend to be okay on. So I don't think those will be issues. Look, we already have a great relationship. And because we had a great relationship, really giving him the title co-CEO really was kind of how we were running the company in partnership. Look, I've been running Salesforce in one capacity or another now for 20 years. Titles don't really mean anything to me. The most important thing to me is the success of all of our stakeholders, our customers, our employees, our partners, our public schools, the community. That's what I really focus on. I'm so excited that Keith is now co-CEO with me. Salesforce is just stronger because of it.
There were reports that Salesforce was interested in trying to buy Twitter, which investors didn't seem too excited about. But do you still see an opportunity or the possibility of Salesforce having a consumer-facing subsidiary someday?
Well, today we have billions of users who are using Salesforce's products in one direction or another. The most important thing to me is that I'm managing for all of our stakeholders and that I'm listening deeply. And when you think about investors, believe me, they're one of my key stakeholders. Customers are a stakeholder, employees are a stakeholder, our public schools, I just mentioned, as a stakeholder, investors are a stakeholder. I'm about to meet with them, and you're probably going to cover that. When I meet with those investors, I am deeply listening to them, and when they said, we would like you to buy this company, or don't buy that company, or we want this strategic relationship, I take that very seriously, and consistently, and over now, we've been a public company 14 years, we've been in business for 20 years, we listen to them. You look at our stock chart over the last 14 years, the reason it's up and to the right is because we listen deeply to all of our stakeholders, including our investors.
So what does the M&A future look like, and do you have any interest still in buying Twitter?
I look at every company, you know that. We have to evaluate every deal. We have to look at private companies, public companies. We just acquired a couple of amazing companies. You saw that we bought an amazing company called Datorama, so we're able to do marketing analytics in an incredible and amazing new way. But this summer, we also bought an amazing integration capability, and you'll see in the Dreamforce keynote today, a whole new vision of customer success called Customer 360, built with MuleSoft. This is a company we bought for $7 billion. We are deeply integrating that product right now with that company. It's incredible. It's one of the reasons that we just raised our guidance again and why we're so excited about our future. So you're going to continue to see us do deals where it makes sense for our customer and where we're helping to get our customers to connect with their customer in a whole new way.
Speaking of acquisitions, Facebook, of course, bought Instagram 6 years ago. We now know the founders are leaving. This was one of the big bright spots for the company. Is that a bad sign for Facebook? Is it a sign that something's gone wrong?
It's a sign for them, and they need to start paying attention. I've been talking about this for 9 months. Our industry has changed. You've already seen this. Every CEO needs to ask themselves, what is the most important thing to you? What is the most important thing to your company? What is your highest value? I know what our highest value is at Salesforce. It's trust. Nothing is more important than the trust that we have with our customers, our employees, our partners, our top executives. When you see top executives walking out, when you see customers questioning your privacy practices, or how you're using or misusing their data, or how you're misusing partnerships, you need to listen, you need to wake up, you need to say, what is going on? It's very serious. And I'm not going to call out any one company and say, this company has to change, these executives have left. What I'm saying is, for every CEO in our industry, we see what the employees are saying. We have to operate at a higher level. Let me give you an example. We just created a new Office of Ethical and Humane Use, reporting directly to me. Because when employees have concerns, or customers or partners or other stakeholders, I want them to be able to come directly to me and have that conversation. We're in the fourth industrial revolution, and everyone wants to know, is your product being used ethically and humanely? Every company has to operate at a higher standard. Every enterprise company like us, and every consumer company like a Facebook and others. Every CEO has to look at this. It's very serious, and that's why the government is involved. You know, I called for regulation in January at the World Economic Forum.
Right, you said that Facebook should be regulated like big tobacco. That was before Cambridge Analytica. That was before
the first
they
one
were called to testify.
Yes.
How should they be regulated now? How do you think they should be regulated?
Facebook is the new cigarettes. It's addictive. It's not good for you. Consumers need to be aware of what can happen. That's why the government is involved and needs to be more involved in the regulation of Facebook and other social media companies. And in the example of companies that have questions about are their products being used ethically or humanely, they need to create structures where they're able to evaluate the ethical and humane use of their technology. Technology is never good or bad. It's never good or bad. It's how you use the technology that matters. But you have to be crystal clear with your employees, your customers, your partners, with everybody, what your values are, what your practices are. And if you don't, then you're going to see customers leave you, or executives leave you, or employees leave you. And we have examples of that now throughout our whole industry this year. You know that. You've been reporting on them. You're going to see more of this until CEOs change. They all need to change, and they need to pay attention. That's true for me. That's true for every CEO in our industry.
You think Mark Zuckerberg's not paying attention?
I think every CEO has to get to another level of excellence. There's no question. Look, in the fourth industrial revolution, Emily, we're all connected. Everyone and everything is connected. You know that. Look at this show. It's amazing what is happening, the examples. But when everything is connected, everything is changed. And behind all of this is our core values of our company, built on trust. Those companies also have to articulate what are their values, what is important to them, what are they willing to stand for, and then we'll know if they're really acting correctly because their employees will stay, their executives will stay, their customers will stay, their shareholders will stay, and you will not have that question. It should not be a question that any reporter or any CEO has to ask.
Now,
we all have to look at this very deeply right now.
You have had some employees be critical of the work that Salesforce does with U.S. Customs and Border Protection. You said that your software isn't involved in family separations. There are some protests happening outside. We've heard some customers aren't happy. What's your response to that?
Well, I think that this is a time, a moment in history, where I, the CEO of Salesforce, and every CEO has to deeply listen to every stakeholder. And if 15 people show up outside the conference, even if we have 170,000 people here, I don't dismiss them. I listen to them. I have engaged with them. And every employee and everyone who's asked a question, I personally have called. And based on that, what I heard was, are you deeply committed to the ethical and humane use of the technology? Wow, yes, I am. Show us. So I've created a whole new structure in the company, a whole Office of Ethical and Humane Use, run by Tony Proffitt, our Chief Equality Officer. And we have partnered with the leading ethics organizations in the world to build a structure that we can bring everyone in and have this conversation. This conversation is not going away. It's not. Because now that technology is at the center of everything that we do, ethics are at the center of everything that we do, and every CEO will have to answer that question. Are you operating ethically and humanely?
You and your wife, Lynn, are buying Time magazine. You've said you're not going to get involved in editorial decisions, but you clearly have very strong views, strong political views, strong ethical views. How do you plan to run this magazine? And is it not, how can it not be an opportunity to take a moral stand?
We could not be, my wife and I, Lynn, could not be more excited about the opportunity now to be the stewards of this historic and iconic brand. I mean, our whole history of our nation is reflected in the covers of Time magazine, of the editorial, of the stories, the photographs. It's amazing what Time magazine represents. And the opportunity to acquire the company and help be the stewards for the future was something we could not pass up. And I hope that it will continue to be a positive global impact opportunity the way that it has been for the last century. I hope that we'll be able to usher it into the next century as well.
Did you talk to Bezos at all about his experience with the Washington Post?
Didn't.
So How can we be sure your political views won't have an influence on the kind of coverage that Time does?
We're committed to keeping our relationship with Time Magazine at arm's length. The editorial team is one of the best in the world. Everybody knows that. We're going to maintain that incredible editorial team, incredible editorial leadership, and deliver a world-class product. This is going to be a fabulous opportunity for us to unshackle Time and let it run as an independent organization. It's been a long time since Time Magazine was independent and could do whatever it wants. Now that we're going to see this amazing team and let them go and do something incredible.
So you got a co-CEO now, an iconic magazine. You continue to focus on your philanthropy. Would you consider running for public office?
Business is the greatest platform for change. Our opportunity to change the world is right here. We understand already, we can see our politicians are fundamentally not able to do that. You know, the opportunity for change today is with business. Yes, the political structure, it has to be a public-private partnership. The mayors were just here, our superintendents of schools were just here, our local officials are here, our state, federal, and government officers are all here. Let's bring everybody together. Let's create a more positive world together. It has to be a multi-stakeholder dialogue. That's how we'll create multi-stakeholder action. You don't need me as a political official. I don't think I would be a very good one. I'm not, you know me very well, you know. The reality is, Emily, I feel very empowered and enabled to make a positive impact on the world based on the platforms that I've been given, and I'm very grateful for that.
Salesforce has done the hard work to close the pay gap. Now we hear about the equity gap across industry, and in Silicon Valley especially. What is the hard work that you're doing year after year to make sure the pay gap and the equity gap doesn't widen again?
Every CEO needs to be focused on equality. At this show, you can see right behind us, we have the most diverse and inclusive set of customers and partners and employees in the industry, and we're working to make it even more so. That is one of the key equity gaps that I see, bringing everybody in, having true inclusive capitalism. We're also fighting for gender equality so that every man and woman is paid equally. We're fighting for LGBTQ equality so that we do not discriminate against the LGBTQ community. We are also working to make sure that we have the equality of every human being, and these aren't just the values here in San Francisco, Emily, which is easy because we're the summer of love, the home of summer of love right here. Everywhere we go in the world, we're the same set of values, so we're going to fight for that. Trust, customer success, innovation, equality, these are our core values. You can't separate that from Salesforce, so we're going to take it to the next level.
But you've committed to doing these audits every year, right?
Yes.
When it comes to pay. Talk to me about the work that involves.
It's a huge amount of work to pay attention globally. Are you paying men and women the same? The first time we did the audit, we realized we weren't, and it cost us millions of dollars so that we made men and women the same in pay. Why are we paying men and women differently? Then we bought a lot of companies. We did a second audit, and do you want to know what we found? Again, we had a mismatch, because when you buy a company, Emily, you don't just buy their technology and their culture, you buy their pay scales. And guess what happened? We bought this mismatch, so we leveled that out. And every year, we will make sure and we will guarantee that we are paying men and women equally in this company. And we evangelize that for all of our customers and partners to do the same thing.